Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Big day for the Ducks. We've got the Oregon Football Coaches Show tonight. Strength and conditioning coordinator Aaron Feld will be our guest here in the Country Financial Studio. I'm really looking forward to that. And also, going to hear from a number of student athletes on that 1-0 process. You can imagine that a day like today, following the first college football playoff ranking reveal that has the Ducks at number 4, and every time I do that, I feel like I'm holding up my fingers like the Ducks do for their fourth quarter, right? Every time, hold up those 4s. I do it at practice. And even people like me, we get yelled at if we don't throw up those 4s at practice. You know, you're talking to somebody, maybe you lose track of where you are in the practice schedule, and next thing you know, it's, hey, get those 4s up. Oh, sorry, coach. Yeah, we're up. We're good. We're ready. The Ducks have really embraced that 1-0 process, and I'll tell you what, Coach Cristobal said it himself today that this might be the most boring press conference that he will do all year long because everybody wants to know about the way that Oregon has reacted to being number 4 in the first college football playoff rankings. Well, the reaction is that they see it, you don't ignore it, but you got to go 1-0 every week. And if you do that, things tend to take care of themselves. That's what Jamal Hill said yesterday. We're going to hear from a lot of players talking about that very topic. Now, we will hear from Coach Cristobal. He just wrapped up talking with the media a little while ago. We've got that for you. But also some news, and we'll also talk about Tim DeRuyter, the Duck defensive coordinator, zeroing in on how to slow down this Husky offense. And if anybody has any questions that Jerry and Jorgie would like to ask Coach Feld tonight, let me know, actually, in the comment section. Yeah, fill the sleeves, as Darren says. So tonight, 7 o'clock on the Go Ducks YouTube, the Oregon Football Facebook and Twitter, and, of course, across the Oregon Sports Network, wherever you tune in for the Oregon Sports Network, the local affiliate in your area, online, wherever. We've got the Oregon Football Coaches Show coming your way tonight, and that'll, of course, be a subject, that 1-0 process. And then also, how do you embrace the fourth quarter conditioning program? Maybe the theme of the show today should be 4s. Ducks are ranked number 4. The Ducks have that fourth quarter conditioning program. Yeah, maybe 4s should be the theme of the show today. But that strength and conditioning program, look, it's a really interesting behind-the-scenes look that you're going to get tonight at what goes on in the offseason and what goes on throughout the season. Now, for example, taking you inside practice a little bit, the Ducks were outside practicing in pads today. Following that padded practice, the offensive players, actually a lot of the players in general that don't have class, they actually lifted. They went in and did their strength and conditioning, and that's why our interns are actually downstairs recording interviews right now with all of the student athletes that you're going to see coming up later on in the week. Well, that's Coach Feld, right? He's the one coordinating all that. He's figuring all that out. He's also the sideline general. I want Jerry and Jorgie to talk with him about that because being the sideline general is really the other side of it. All right, so there's the 1-0 process, the fourth quarter conditioning program. That's what Coach Cristobal is talking about today. But look, we all want to talk about the rankings, and I'm going to do that because Oregon has quite the resume at a glance. 7-1 overall, all right. 4-1 in Pac-12 play, first place in the Pac-12 North. Defeated the now-ranked number 5 Ohio State Buckeyes on September 11th, which was the first road team to win at Ohio Stadium since 2017. The Ducks opened the season with a win over number 23 Fresno State at Autzen Stadium. The Ducks are 5-0 at home this season, averaging 39.2 points per game while allowing just 19.2 points per game. It's the first Pac-12 team and number 23 in the nation with 36 points 1 points per game. I said that funky, but you get the idea. They're ranked number 1 in the Pac-12 and number 23 in the country with 36.1 points per game. Ducks have scored 31-plus points in 6 of the 8 games this year. 4 games of 200-plus rushing yards. And Oregon, by the way, 15-1 under Mario Cristobal when rushing for 200 or more. Ducks are number 11 in the nation in third down conversion percentage at 49%. And they are tied for second in the nation with touchdowns on 77.78% of red zone opportunities. Ducks have been pretty efficient in these different conversion categories, haven't they? And the Ducks are number 1 in the Pac-12 and tied for 9th in the FBS with a +8 turnover margin. So at the end of the day, just go 1-0, baby. So here are the first college football playoff rankings. Georgia sits at number 1. Alabama sits at number 2. Michigan State, after their big comeback win last week, Michigan State is sitting at number 3. Oregon is sitting at number 4. Ohio State is number 5. Cincinnati at 8-0 is at number 6, followed by Michigan 7-1, Oklahoma number 8 at 9-0, Wake Forest number 9 at 8-0. Then it's Notre Dame at number 10, 7-1, Oklahoma is 7-1, Baylor is 7-1, and then you hit your first 2-loss team at Auburn at number 13, Texas A&M number 14, then BYU at number 15, Ole Miss 16, Mississippi State 17. Quick fun fact, Mississippi State was actually the very first number 1 ranked team in the very first college football playoff rankings. And what happened to them that year? They weren't in the playoff. I say that, of course, to just remind you that it is Wednesday, November 3rd. The ones that we really care about come out in December. Got to go 1-0 every week. Kentucky is number 18, NC State 19, Minnesota 20, Wisconsin 21. Iowa is at 22. Fresno State, good for the Ducks, at number 23. San Diego State is at number 24. And Pittsburgh is at number 25. I got asked today, because I've done a few different radio interviews in preparation for, well, that's part of my week, right? I do a lot of different interviews throughout the course of the week, and it's not just Host and Duck Insider. It's going on with my colleagues around the country. But someone asked me, like, are you surprised? And I thought to myself, because as I was sitting there watching the show last night, I thought to myself, like, what was my reaction when I saw number 4? I didn't really have one, which I think speaks to how wild college football has been this year, and actually that it isn't a surprise to see Oregon at number 4. And I don't know that I would have been shocked to see Oregon anywhere else in the top 10. I mean, I think that the reason the college football playoff exists, and Rob Mullins, the Oregon athletic director, was the chairman of the college football playoff selection committee at one point, for crying out loud. I think that the way the committee does the rankings, a week like this tells you why the committee exists in the first place. Are there going to be differences between the coaches poll, the AP poll, and the rankings? Absolutely. I think that there will be. And there are going to be. That's what the committee's job is. They're supposed to take everything into account when they make the rankings. So Georgia being number 1, Alabama being number 2, then Michigan State with a big win recently over Michigan. They're undefeated. Oregon sitting at number 4, and Ohio State sitting at number 5. So here's going to be your head-to-head. What do you do? Who do you put where? You're going to see these resumes side by side. Does Ohio State still have some winnable big games in front of them? Absolutely. So does Oregon. Oregon beat Ohio State in Columbus. I think the head-to-head should matter. Is Stanford a better team than Oregon? No, not according to these rankings. But let's also remember that Oregon did not have its offensive coordinator in that game, and that happened the day of the contest. I think those things matter, and that's why the committee is taking all of that into account, in my opinion, and that's why the Ducks sit at number 4, Ohio State sits at number 5, and if I'm a Cincinnati fan and I saw the comments from their athletic director yesterday and today, I would be a little upset sitting at number 6. But we'll see what happens the rest of the year. At the end of the day, to quote Coach Cristobal, just go 1-0. Things tend to take care of themselves. I do think, and I got asked this question earlier today as well, what if the current top 6 and maybe current top 8 all win out? Because you're sitting with an undefeated Oklahoma, you're sitting with an undefeated Cincinnati, a 1-loss Ohio State, a 1-loss Oregon. I don't know. Now, you would think Michigan State and Ohio State, someone's got to give there. Georgia and Alabama, maybe someone's got to give there. They're from the same conference. I think the point is that if you're the Ducks and you look at these rankings, if you go 1-0 every week, I like the Ducks' chances. I like the Ducks' chances a lot. When we come back, let's hear from Coach Cristobal on what was the in his opinion, the most boring press conference he's done all year. But before we get to that, Oregon quarterback Anthony Brown has been named a top 10 finalist for the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, presented annually to the top upperclassman quarterback in the nation. Organized by the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Educational Foundation, and the award acknowledges performance on the field while also placing great value on character, citizenship, and integrity. A top 10 finalist for Oregon quarterback Anthony Brown for the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. List will be pared down to 5 finalists the week of November 22nd. When we come back, let's hear from Mario Cristobal, the Oregon football head coach, after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, son. How are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. I'm curious for everybody's reaction, like next week for these rankings. You know, it's fun being in the top of the rankings because we do have something to talk about every Wednesday. But I don't know, man. This is how it's supposed to be at Oregon, right? Like this is what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have days and weeks like this, so. Anyway, I think that's kind of how Coach Cristobal feels if you're executing everything well. He talked about a number of different topics today as he met with the media for what he deemed the most boring post-practice interview of the season. Coach Cristobal brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. Coach Cristobal meeting with the media just a little while ago.
All right, guys, good afternoon. Appreciate you being out here today. Good Wednesday practice, you know, good, very competitive way to end the day as well. That being said, questions?
How Forsyth and Stevens looking?
Forsyth is 100% done everything. Stevens, it's going to be, I think we'll know by tomorrow where he's going to be at. But, you know, we're progressing cautiously with him, but he's done a good job.
Apple's good to go?
Apple's good to go.
Is Forsyth, you say he's 100% good to go. Does that mean like you just wait and see it on game day, or is he like you fully expecting him to play?
I think we'll have this conversation. We've had it 4 weeks in a row, so I hate to say one thing and then, you know.
That's just what I'm trying to clarify. It's the same previous or.
I feel great about it. Yeah. So because it's been unpredictable, so to speak, I'm gonna just say that's where he's at right now. We've done everything possible with him, and he's practiced full throttle every rep. So. We're good.
Has Ryan done enough in center to make that a competition, or is he the center if he's assuming he's available?
Well, there's flexibility there. It's always going to be a competition. You know, Dawson's in there getting some reps at center too. all those guys. We snap, about 4 guys during a week in practice in case something may happen. And right now that's, the move is one of those 2 guys. So.
Looking at Washington offense and defense, are there teams that you've played already that they are similar to? I asked this because Chase Garbers said that they did so well against Oregon State because they played against them, that kind of defense all the time at Cal. Is there something somewhat similar, and how important is that?
Well, I mean, there's we have some similarities in the defensive stuff we do and some of the teams that we have played. I think in this conference you'll see a 40 to 60% carryover week to week. There are some things, and they do some really unique things as well. This, all in all, it's a very talented outfit. Some really good football players.
Certainly have a size advantage at receiver compared to their corners, but their pass defense has been outstanding. Just what have you seen particularly from McDuffie and Bradley Hiles?
Really talented guys, play really well, use good technique, fast, explosive guys, good tacklers, disciplined eyes. It's really good football players.
Coach, I'm assuming you heard the comments from Jimmy Lake earlier this week. Curious if you have any thoughts on it.
Every single ounce of our focus on the game.
Do you believe in bulletin board material? I mean, do you guys use that internally at all, those kind of comments?
In
bulletin board material, does that resonate at all?
No, it never really has, but I'm familiar with the concept, but it doesn't, it's not the thing for us. I'm sure guys here and see things, but, we were just very real. We don't ignore, we acknowledge, we move on.
Do you consider your staff to have recruiting rivals, or is it just about what you guys do and what other people do, whether it be here, there, or anywhere?
We do our job to the best of our ability. We believe in our processes, trust our eyes, trust our evaluations and our assessments, and we respectfully recruit the guys that we feel are the very best in the country.
With the rankings last night, beyond number 4 and all that, again, it only matters, like you point out, if you keep winning. But many have made the observation about the 2015 Bama staff and that the 4 of you are in the top 4. Do you think there's something to that Nick and Kirby and you and Mel are leading teams that are up there right now?
I don't know. I don't really have time to assess stuff like that. I know those guys really well. Had the honor of working with them. Great guys, great coaches. I'm sure every single one of the guys mentioned are doing the exact same thing and focusing on being 1-0.
Coach, it's hard to ignore that those rankings came out yesterday. Obviously, you guys saw them. What was the team's reaction, and how do you respond to something like that going forward? Well,
I don't think it's a matter of ignoring at all. I think you acknowledge it and you make sure that it's just not part of your process. It never was to this point, so, we're in week, what are we in, 9? Game number 9. There's a lot of football to be played, and you can't even look past this game. You can't even think about the other games coming down the stretch. So I think all that stuff, again, it's part of what we do for a living, but it's not part of our daily process. It's not part of the mindset. It's not part of our motivation. It's just part of the big picture.
Is there any sort of amplified energy because of that ranking, or considering Saturday is the rivalry game, or is it just same business as always?
Rivalries in general always bring out more intensity, it's more of everything, right? They bring out the best and the worst in everybody all the time, and that's why college football is the best sport on earth. There's a lot of intensity, a lot of emotion, a lot of passion, pageantry, you name it. And, again, tremendous rivalry. Looking forward to Saturday.
You always talk about control things that you can control, and the path, though, is where if you win your games, you kind of control your own destiny. Is that at least a positive to look at these rankings, knowing that you worry about and control things that you can control?
I think, when you mention rankings again, that's not part of what we do. What we're looking at is today's practice, tonight's meetings, whatever walkthroughs we have tomorrow. Just one step at a time. We're not even in tomorrow's walkthroughs yet. Right now we're trying to get these guys class in time, make sure they got a belly full of food, and make sure they're recovering, taking care of their business, get them back and clean up this film. So a lot of work to do in preparation for this game. So that being the case, again, that works for us. It's not going to be, it's probably going to be the most boring press conference we have, because it's going to be the redundancy of that's what we're doing. But to be honest with you, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. But the juicy response ain't gonna come out, man. You guys know me by now.
You mentioned the rivalry, aspects of rivalries in general. Mm-hmm. Is there an unfinished element because of last year and the no contest and tweets about division championships and all those sorts of things?
I just think you keep going this way, and I keep bringing it back to this way. We're focused on this game, and that's what it's about. 1-0.
offense had its best day of the year. How was, I guess, the last couple of days coming off so much success? How have they responded in practice, or how's that going?
Well, you know, when you have a day like that, you start to see all your work pay off a little bit more. Guys get really enthused about how, you know, the playbook is growing, our execution is getting better, and that's what it really came down to. We've been playing hard all year, but we executed better. So pouring more focus into that, pouring more energy into each other, to the teammates, to make sure that we lift each other up and just really just ignite our sense of urgency for high-level execution. You know, that's what, you know, at this time of year, your technique, your fundamentals, your level of execution, your attention to details, your physicality, your effort, your finish, all those things have to be elevating bit by bit. Teams that don't are the ones that suffer, you know, in November when bodies are more sore, right, beat up a little bit, and you're going down the stretch, the weather changes, the games are rivalry games, more difficult, you know, opponents. So all that stuff right now, the little things, the want-to-knows and all those things are what really come to the forefront of our preparation.
Coach has talked about playing your best football at the end of the year. Do you feel like you're on that kind of trajectory where you're going in that direction?
We're striving for it. You know, I think there's flashes, and you know, I think there's been some moments during the season where you feel like you're getting there, and then you have a frustrating, you know, little setback, or you don't get quite the result that you want. But you feel like, man, you're always honest with yourself. Are you close? Is it fixable? Or are you a world away? And we always felt like there were things that as we progressed and just got a little bit better here and improved a little bit better over there, that things were going to start clicking. We feel things are clicking, but we still feel that there is a big chunk that's right there in front of us that we got to get better at. And there's a very strong drive towards doing that, and that's where the focus is, quite honestly. If you were out there in practice, all you're seeing is us working on the things that we feel could make us a good football team and nothing else. Just getting after it.
A big chunk more on offense or defense, or about the same, or can you say what part of the game might need better?
I think it's everywhere. Because the big goal is to have consistency, right? And that's one thing where there's finally some progress there. Well, to be consistent, you got to be consistent, right? So it's got to keep showing up again and again. It starts with practice. It's starting to show up in practice more consistently. We're pushing the tempo, we're pushing the level of urgency, of execution, of competition, every way, shape, or form possible, and we expect to have results because of that.
Mario, something we see surprisingly year after year in college football is players crossing the goal line thinking they've scored a touchdown and dropping the ball before they're actually in the end zone. Have you ever had a conversation with your ball carriers about that? And do you think it's something your team would ever find themselves in this situation?
Do I think our team would ever do that? Well, I mean, as much emphasis as we place on the importance of doing things the right way, I would hope not. If we do, the guy might as well keep running up the tunnel in the locker room, you know? I don't want to see him, you know? Score appropriately, give the ball to the official, and let's go next play.
On sort of that same note, you guys didn't commit a penalty in the first half against Colorado. I think you had 5 on the day. Is that an area where you feel like you guys have really started to clean things up?
Last game we did. We try to clean it up every day. You see officials are here every single day. We do force more opponent penalties than probably anybody in the conference because we do play aggressively. With that, you got to stay on the, you know, it's not a fine line, it's a clear line, and you got to stay on this side of it, and sometimes we've treaded over it. And that's where we have, at least last game, we improved on that part. We improved, and we got to keep improving. Down the stretch, right, turnovers and penalties, you see it continue to show up in wins and losses around the country, so we still got to get better.
These types of games, rivalries, we always see emotions sometimes spill out onto the field. Do you like your team playing with emotion, or do you want to be pretty even-keeled in a game like this, especially on the road where they want to, air quote, ruin the season type deal?
I think when you play the game of football, your levels of passion have to be through the roof and beyond. And that can never, ever change. And anyone who, I've never played with anyone, coached with anyone that can honestly just say or feel any differently. I mean, football is the greatest sport on the face of the earth. It's our passion. We're looking forward to an awesome opportunity.
That's Mario Cristobal, the Oregon football head coach. He said that he joked, really, that it was going to be one of the more boring press conferences he ever did. But look, that's what this takes, right? You don't want to give the other team bulletin board material. You don't want to have your team thinking about the rankings. You want to have your team thinking about beating the Huskies in Seattle with a 4:44 official kickoff. Yeah, how about that? 4:44 is the official kickoff time. Could be a 5-minute slide to 4:49. Don't worry, we're still going on the air at 2:30 for our pregame show with Terry Johns up there in Seattle. This is going to be a fun matchup. Look, anytime the Ducks and the Dogs meet, it's a fun matchup. But I think especially a week like this where you've got all this outside noise, rivalry, you got rankings, all these things. Washington wants to upset Oregon. Washington's still upset that Oregon didn't play them, but, well, Oregon was ready to play them last year. There's so many things. Forget all that. Play some football. It's going to be a fun day up there on Mont Lake. There's going to be a lot of boats, I think. Weather's supposed to be kind of nasty, too, so if you're making the trip, bring that heavy coat. When we come back, let's hear from Tim DeRuyter. How do you slow down this Washington offense? The Duck defensive coordinator meeting with the media next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, football is back! So consider this your official excuse for always putting football watching first, courtesy of Pepsi. That haircut appointment? Seeing the in-laws for the first time in ages.
It's been so long!
Nope, sorry Susan, not if it's on Sunday. Long story short, after the year we've all had, we think you could use a little football watching. So crack open a Pepsi and cheer your football watching face off. With love, Pepsi. Made for football watching. That's what I like.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
My daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back on Nugget Cider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Coach Feld will join us tonight, 7 o'clock, across the Oregon Sports Network on the Oregon Football social media channels. If you want to watch the show, it's the Oregon Football Coaches Show coming your way tonight with Coach Feld. Fourth quarter strength and conditioning program. You know, one storyline heading into this week, it was all about the safety depth and all about the secondary depth. Tim DeRuyter talking about that, a whole bunch of other stuff as he met with the media this week, talking about the week that was, looking ahead to the Huskies. 4:30 kickoff for the Ducks, 2:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. Tim DeRuyter talking with the media, brought to you by our friends at WVCI. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. Here's Tim DeRuyter.
Tim, your safety depth certainly got pushed to the brink last week. What did you see from Brian in a positive light? And obviously they looked to exploit him a little bit there, him and Lucas, as the game went on. So some areas that can be cleaned up, whether they play the same volume of reps for you this week or even if they're just rotational capacity, just what you saw from him and where things can be improved.
Well, you know, Brian's a guy who played receiver before, so some of the things are still new for him. But I think as he's getting game reps, he's getting more and more familiar with our package. We should get Jordan Happel back. Getting Scoop back obviously is going to help as well. Hopefully that'll happen too. So, you know, it's going to be a little bit of a work in progress at that position. You know, I was really impressed with Luke. You know, he came in and had been playing scout team reps, you know, all week and did 100% on his written test and came in and played really, really hard. So we've got to get some guys up to speed because we got another challenge again this week.
You have been struggling to get off the field on third down, and Washington has a pretty high conversion rate on offense. How are you planning on attacking this strength of them, and what would you say makes them so effective in this area?
Well, they do a really good job of having manageable third downs. You look at the third down tape, and there's not a lot of third and longs in there. There's a lot more third and short and third and medium when you can do that. And you've got a very physical front, and they get into some wildcat stuff with the running backs and create an extra gap. You better have some adjustments for that. It makes it difficult. So it's going to be a challenge. It's been a challenge all year for us on third down, trying to get off the field. And it's an emphasis. The second half we did much better on at times, but you've got to be able to get off the field to get drives to stop. And then when we stopped them on third down, we got to do better on fourth down.
Coach Cristobal was saying on the priority list of things to improve was just some of the stuff that took place on defense in the second quarter. I wonder if you could speak to some of the areas that maybe allowed Colorado to score those 2 touchdowns.
Well, the one drive, we get them in a second long, and we give up a tunnel screen for an explosive play that, we've got guys right there at the point, and we don't get them down. We've got to understand how to retrace on those plays, because Washington's going to run a bunch of screens as well in those situations, and we've just got to be able to fit that better. We had a one-on-one play that DJ was right in position, and their kid made the play, which is going to happen at times, but you hope that it's a incomplete pass. We had a run that we didn't fit right. And so when all those things start to pile up, they start getting some momentum and they get into a rhythm. But this week's going to be an emphasis of understanding where our guys need to fit and retrace, and having our guys who are rushing get back out so that we can get those plays stopped.
Coach, I was asking Coach Cristobal about this guy, but I wanted to get your thoughts on him too. Trevin May, he got 16 quality snaps for you this last game, and he's been averaging 20 or so. Talk about what he's meant to this defense and how he's coming along.
Trevin's really done a nice job for us this year. He's a guy that coming into this year wasn't sure, what his role was going to be, and he's worked his tail off to be really, really physical at the point of attack. For us to be able to balance between, odd and even fronts, you need a guy who's tough and physical, and he is. He's getting better as a pass rusher, but his real value is on first and second down, being able to, set great edges and play a 4-eye when we need him to, and just play really, really hard.
Tim, just your thoughts on McMillan and Bynum at receiver, and just that matchup in particular you guys are going to face.
Well, with what they do, they're going to try to get you in some one-on-one situations and take some shots. So we've got to do a great job of, diagnosing first, the situation that we're in, understanding the leverage of the coverage that allows us to play. And then when we get in those one-on-one situations, which there's going to be some, we've got to win our fair share. And both those guys have proven that they can get it done against one-on-one coverage. But, I like how McHale's playing, and DJ, has been on balance really good. We just got to get him more consistent.
Hey, Tim, it looked like Braden Swinson's snaps were down quite a bit. I'm curious if that's a product of just Mace being back, or and how do you go about kind of getting all those edge guys all the snaps they probably deserve now that everybody's mostly healthy?
Well, yeah, Braden was dinged up a little last week, so part of that was part of the plan, but he's obviously one of our best edge defenders, and we've got to get him in a little bit more. That first half, I think we only had like 26 or so snaps. So we had a plan for him, but we were seeing a little bit more 12 personnel than what we had seen from them before. So it just kind of, the way it played out, it wasn't planned not to play him that much, but we got him some more in the second half. And then, we got to keep him healthy.
It follows actually perfectly with that, Tim. We've obviously talked a lot about 12 and 22 a lot this season. So this was probably the first team to probably throw something at you that wasn't there, but Washington will, and it ties together with them. And McGrew and Otten, and you get to the third downs and the conversion rate on third, and not just 1 to 3, but even 4 to 6, how it all really ties together into this game. when it's been a season-long kind of bugaboo, I'm sure you've been underscoring it for 2 solid months, but really with this kind of opponent and what you've got throughout November, how much of an emphasis is it this week?
Well, it's huge. It's everything that Coach Cristobal talks about. We have got to win the physical battles up front. And this is going to be a tremendous challenge because a big physical offensive line for Washington. It's big boy football this week. Our guys know it. I like the fact that our guys are getting healthier up front. And that's going to play a huge part because we're going to need more than just one deep against these guys. But it's a matter of playing with great fundamentals, great eyes, hands, and feet, striking blocks, getting off and getting the ball carrier, getting multiple people there because Sean McGrew's been running, really tough between the tackles. He's always been a quick-footed guy who can get to the edge, but he's running really strong between the tackles, particularly in the Wildcat.
Well, Coach, last week I asked you about Colorado's rushing offense. You praised Colorado's running back, Shake Brosard. You managed to contain him to only 40 total yards. How big of a role would you say that play in your victory, and how important was he on your defensive game plan?
Well, we knew we had to try to limit their running game. And in the first half, I thought we did a decent job. We let, I think, one run on him get out. But we just got to be more consistent. We didn't fit a couple runs the way we wanted to. They came out with a couple formations that we hadn't practiced, and they hadn't shown. We've got to do a better job of seeing that and adjusting to that quicker. We did it at halftime. But yeah, obviously when you stop a team like Colorado from running the ball the way they want to, it gives you a chance.
It's not your first time coaching against Washington, Tim. I'm curious, what are some kind of things that stand out, not just specifically with this team, but just all Washington teams you've faced, and what makes them such a tough team to slow down? Because it seems like they're always in these games, are always very, very competitive.
Well, I think it starts up front with them. They've traditionally recruited some really good big guys who are athletic and physical. They've had some running backs that can move the chains. I think they probably have arguably the best tight end in the conference, a guy who can do a great job blocking at the point of attack. But he can also stretch the field. He can run and catch the ball. He's a heck of a target and a comfort zone guy for the quarterback. So when you have those kind of pieces, and then, scheme wise, they're going to give you different shifts, motion, trade, try to get you communicating pre-snap, and hopefully you bust a gap, and they got guys that can exploit that. So every year it's been a little bit different, but that's kind of the formula for them. And then if you load it up too much, they've got some guys that can run on the outside, and they're going to take shots with them. So, traditional NFL offense, it's going to make you account for a number of different things.
Coach, Popo Amave hasn't been getting a lot of statistics, but it seems like he gets a nice push and he moves the quarterback off his spot. Talk about what your evaluation of what you're getting out of Popo.
Yeah, Popo, particularly the last couple of weeks, I thought has been a lot more active. You're right. Unfortunately, he's not getting a lot of things that show up on the statistics, but he's played very, very clean, and he's been very, very physical in knocking guys back. And we need that from him. He and Brandon Dorlus both the past couple of weeks have played well, and down the stretch, particularly against these teams that want to run the ball the way they do, we need him and Brandon to both play well.
Statistically, it looks like a missed opportunity, Tim, by way of pass rush against Colorado because of what they had been allowing. But I realize with 12 and 22, it kind of nulligates that a little bit. How do you look at that and evaluate that, not just last week, but in general, in terms of going forward because it's not just about KT, but when they're 0-5 on 3rd and 9+, does that kind of just satisfy you in terms of you're affecting the quarterback and making him run a whole lot and throw the ball away compared to just getting a whole bunch of sacks?
Well, I mean, sacks are nice, particularly for someone like, KT, who's going to be on national lists, and deservedly so. But if you're making them throw the ball away on 3rd down because of the pressure, you're effectively getting what you want. So, there's the pride factor of it. And, as a coach, I want to get him all the accolades that he deserves. But at the end of the day, if they're punting, we're doing our job.
Good stuff from Tim DeRuyter, the Oregon defensive coordinator. If they're punting, we're doing our job. That's really the motto, I think, of a defensive coordinator right there. Tim DeRuyter, previewing a lot of different things. I'm looking forward to this match between the Ducks and the Dogs coming up 4:30 on Saturday, broadcast on ABC, and of course, a 2:30 pregame show for us here on the Oregon Sports Network. When we come back, let's talk with KT. Kayvon Thibodeau. We're going to meet with him next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously, but as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack at the Country Financial Studio. Time for your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. The schedule for the week is an intense one. Begins this afternoon with Oregon softball. That's right, 4:30. The Ducks against Southern Oregon. It's free admission at the Jane. You can show up at 4 o'clock if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. It's a 10-inning game against Southern Oregon. And Oregon women's golf is currently in the Pac-12 preview. They are finishing up their final round. We'll have a full breakdown for you tomorrow. But the Ducks sitting in 4th overall as we speak here, approaching 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Ducks also with men's and women's tennis in action this weekend, and Oregon volleyball, 7 o'clock tomorrow. Ducks at Stanford, looking to keep some momentum after their 5-set come-from-behind win on Sunday against Colorado. The Ducks on the road against Stanford for Oregon volleyball this week. And then, that's on Thursday, by the way. And then on Friday, the regular season finale. Oregon and Oregon State in Corvallis. Graham Abel's squad, I think they got to win this one. And then I think they're in for the first time in program history, which would be pretty cool. So 7 o'clock, I think that I'll be huddled around my iPad in my hotel room up in Seattle watching that one because this is going to be a big-time moment potentially for Oregon soccer. But after a rough 0-2 weekend this past week, they don't want to leave it in the committee's hands. You want to win this and make sure that you're getting in. Oregon basketball, women's basketball that is, with an exhibition against Westmont at noon on Saturday. Perfect timing because that game will wrap up. Then at 2:30, our pregame show gets rolling for Oregon football, taking on Washington in Seattle with a 4:30 kickoff on ABC. If you missed it earlier, Anthony Brown, a finalist for the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, one of 10 finalists for the best upperclassman quarterback in the country. And Oregon senior Tom Gouin will play for France in the 2021 Spirit International Amateur Golf Championship. It's a biennial event. I almost said annual, and that would have been wrong. The biennial event will be played Thursday through Saturday at Whispering Pines Golf Club in Texas. Congratulations to Tom, man. That's awesome. Competing for the French team. And finally, women's basketball preseason awards are here. Oregon leads the Pac-12 with 4 players on the preseason all-conference team for women's basketball. Tahina Paopao, Sedona Prince, Edney Rogers, and Niara Sabali each earned a spot on the 15-player team following a vote by the media who cover the league. Ducks also checked in at number 2 in the preseason Pac-12 media poll. That matches where the coaches picked them at the media day in October. So Prince, Paopao, Rogers, Sabali, preseason all Pac-12 for the Ducks. That's your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington. Menus, nutrition info, cafeyum.com. That might be what we're having for dinner before the coaches show tonight. Kayvon Thibodeau, the Oregon football standout, met with the media as we continue to preview Ducks and Dog. Let's hear from KT.
What does this week mean to the team facing a rival like Washington?
I feel like it's another week. You know, we've been playing so long, and now a lot of guys are more mature. We're able to just really cut out all the noise and realize that we still got to go 1-0 on the day.
Speaking of noise, college football playoff rankings come out in a few hours. Is that kind of the same approach? You just block out the noise?
I mean, we've talked about a lot that, like, every team at this point kind of holds their own destiny. So as long as we just keep going 1-0, I feel like, you know, it'll be out of our hands at that point.
We've seen at points during the game against Colorado, they tried to stray away from your defensive line. You know, how do you evaluate a game like that where, you know, a lot of screen passes, a lot of quick outs where you can't really get a pass rush?
That's good coaching. I mean, you know, if I was a coach and I was going against myself, I wouldn't let me get a play either. So one up to them and, you know, on to the next.
What do you expect in this? Same thing with Washington or a little different?
They have a different scheme. They're a different football team, so I wouldn't say it'd be the same thing, but it'll be fun to see how they kind of change it up to address the situation.
You talked even back in Pac-12 media day about getting if you were coaching against you, you'd throw double teams and all that. I'm sure you just asked about a little bit about, but Colorado did a lot of things schematically to try and neutralize you as best as they could. What is that like mentally to handle in a game?
It's okay. It does take kind of the fun away from the game because it's hard to really get going, but just being able to know that I have teammates that can make up for it and that will, you know, come out and make the play, it's fine. It is what it is.
How much, if the sack isn't there, how much pride do you take in 0 for 5 on 3rd and 9 plus?
I mean, for me, it's all about winning the rep. So, like looking at the grand scheme, once we break down film, you can be satisfied with what you did. But in the moment, as long as I kind of do my job and I do the best of my ability, yeah, I'm fine with it.
To this week, what have you seen from? I know Kirkland. I want to say his numbers. I think like 78, but I think he's been out the past couple of weeks. So what have you seen from 55? Their left tackle has been playing the last couple of games.
They've been playing really well. We're really dissecting them. I think the scheme really allows the offensive tackles to play to their best. But they do a lot of stuff on offense, which kind of gets guys in bad eye position and bad technique. So just being able to really focus on us and still use what they do and how we do it to our advantage.
What is their tight end, 87? What does he do differently in that capacity than, I mean, you face a lot of tight ends on the end and all that kind of stuff. This past week, they threw a bunch of 12 at you. What does Otten do?
To me, I can tell he's really smart. You know, a lot of guys, when they play certain positions, they like to think a lot. But he's a person that can really go and fly around. So him being able to really know what's going on, know the defenses, know who he's going to get and where he's going to be, allows him to really play to the best of his ability.
You made your recruiting visit during the Oregon-Washington game back in 2018. How much did that instruct what this rivalry means, and how much did you take away from that experience?
Just seeing the atmosphere and the kind of like that relentless passion that they had. It went to overtime, and they just kept fighting. So knowing that, like, that's what they did before us, we just got to keep one-upping it and keep it going.
I feel like Popo and Jason Jones have taken some strides this season. You know, where have you seen the growth from them, and how do you feel like you guys are working in tandem?
They have done really well just up front, you know, working with different coaches and doing, you know, what they need to do to really get better. I feel like as long as we just keep growing as a unit and really having that, like, camaraderie and that, what do you want to call it, the team morale, we'll be able to really step up as a front and be able to really shut it down.
Where have you seen the most growth with Jeffrey moving positions, obviously?
Bassa?
Yeah.
He's becoming real confident. He knows his holes. At first, when he first started, he was kind of overrunning it. Being a you know, a safety DB, you know you have to be faster to the ball. But once you're kind of up front, you can let it eat and you can kind of flow back to it. So he's getting really comfortable with that and just being able to read the gaps and play off the offensive lineman.
What's unique about this running back 5 for them? What's unique about him in particular?
He got strong legs. You know, he likes to run, he likes contact, and again, the scheme allows the offensive lineman to kind of get in certain positions, and once he sees the hole, he goes. So we're going to have to tackle through the thigh boards. We're going to have to kind of bring our hard hat and really fit up front.
You're focused on the here and now, but you're obviously very conscious of the future. So what does it mean to you when the Lions and Texans general managers are at a game?
I don't notice until the end, like until it's over. So just being able to see, you know, that was the scenario during the game, and I kind of like to reflect on how I carry myself, you know, and what ways can I improve on the man I'm being or the man I'm perceived to be. So it's pretty good. I'm happy that I was able to, you know, make certain plays and do certain things in that game, and we just got to keep pushing.
Obviously, you talk about just the 1-0 approach and everything like that, but what makes this rivalry against Washington just a little bit different than some of the other games you played in?
Just being there. I mean, you know, knowing that there's real hate in people's hearts for this game and for us. So just being able to go there and kind of quiet down the crowd and really be able to play and really put it out there, you kind of feel it. That's kind of like why we play, for the rivalries, for the big game. So, you know, just being able to show what we got and put up a fight is going to be fun.
How have you learned? You mentioned the real hate and animosity between the two schools. How did you? Was it just that 18 game that taught you that, or how have you kind of learned what this game means?
Just 18 and then 19 when we went there. It was like, you know, you see the duck being thrown around, ripped up. You see the crowd yelling, you know, dropping bombs on us and this and that. And then the real, you know, the shots after the play and different things to try to get you to make mental mistakes. And you realize as you get older that, like, it's not about what you do outside the whistle and outside the game. It's about, you know, what happens between the whistles. So just being able to control that and really play to the hype of the game, really live up to the moment is the best part about it.
What do you tell some of the younger guys on the team that haven't experienced this, especially not playing this rivalry game last year?
To stay level-headed, stay poised, never get too high, never get too low. They're gonna make plays, but, you know, we got to really be able to retaliate and be able to go to the next play and have that, like, next play mentality.
How important in these types of games, especially on the road, is it to not let your emotions get too high, or do you want your guys to be fiery, show emotion in these types of games?
Well, me personally, I'm not a guy who needs to play with anger or rage or loudness. I like to stay poised. I like to stay calm. So for me, I like to tell guys, you know, get hype when you need to, but be able to breathe and be able to think and be able to process what's going on in front of you so that you're not just playing off raw emotion. You can kind of fine-tune it and you know how to really work it.
Is there another guy on the team or a couple guys who you think do a really good job of that?
I mean, Verone, he does a great job. Jeffrey, he's really done a great job just echoing it and kind of being that leader that we need to step up and kind of take control. And Noah, obviously, he's the guy who really lays it out on the field. So just seeing his passion and being able to match that just, you know, brings it all together.
You guys improved a lot on third down defense against Colorado this past week. What do you think's been kind of key for you guys to do that? You know, how are you approaching those big situations?
I think our secondary, they do a really good job. Coach Yates and all supporting staff, they do a great job with the upcoming week and knowing what they do. You know, seeing the different routes and different concepts. I mean, even with the outside linebackers, getting in with them and learning the different concepts and the routes and what to expect. You know, we can call it out before it happens. So that really prepares us for, you know, the task at hand.
A lot of great stuff with Kayvon Thibodeau, the Oregon standout. I got a good question from Eugene Champ on YouTube. Can Jorgie explain 12 personnel? Jorgie can explain it far better than I can, but I can also explain it. You heard a lot about that. It's basically just describing a personnel package. If it's 12 personnel, that means you have 1 running back and 2 tight ends. If it's 22 personnel, it would be 2 running backs and 2 tight ends. 21 personnel, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. So then you can imagine if you have 5 offensive linemen and a quarterback, you can fill in the gaps. If you say 12 personnel, then you also know how many wide receivers are out there. It's just a personnel package distinction. Now, that doesn't tell you where exactly everybody is lined up. You could have 2 tight ends bunched to the right side of the line and then 2 receivers on the other side, and a running back could be anywhere in the backfield. It doesn't tell you that, but it just tells you the different formation packages and different personnel packages that are out there at any given time. And certain defenses and certain offenses work better against or with different personnel packages. And as you can imagine, a lot of times it depends on how good the tight ends are and how often the Ducks are utilizing their tight ends. This year, we've seen a lot of 2 tight end packages. That's what you're talking about with 12 personnel, 22 personnel, and those sorts of things. When we come back, the full schedule for the week, and then tell you about some of the other student athletes we're going to hear from tomorrow. We also will go to the other side of this rivalry. Tony Castricone, the voice of the Huskies, is going to join us, and we'll see how that goes. That's tomorrow on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home.
So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Hoodoo Ski Area's preseason pass sale going on now. The family fun destination since 1938. Get your season pass now at hoodoo.com. Great savings. I actually already got mine. Yeah, I'm really excited about it this year because we might actually get a chance to go a little bit, which is great. Good to have Hoodoo so close. That, you know, people ask me all the time, like, well, what's cool about living in Eugene? I'm like, well, one, Eugene Springfield's awesome, but two, you got the mountains an hour and a half to one side of you. You got the ocean an hour and a half to the other side of you. You got Portland a little more than an hour and a half north of you. Not to mention all the other places that are around you. Not a bad place, huh? Pretty darn good place. So anyway, tomorrow, after the Oregon Football Coaches Show tonight with Aaron Feld, tomorrow we're going to hear from Anthony Brown, Verone McKinley, also Jamal Hill, TJ Bass, Travis Dye, Byron Cardwell, Jeffrey Bossa. Those are the rest of your interviews for the week. See you tomorrow.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s, like go back to college, learn to skateboard. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. At aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a free 3-minute chat with the friendly digital retirement coach, Avo, and receive personalized tips to help boost your savings. Start chatting with Avo today at aceyourretirement.org.